everyone. It's 7 o'clock. It's time to call the meeting of the Whitehall City Council to order for September 18, 2018. I'm going to ask everyone to please rise for a moment of silence and remain standing for the pledge. Thank you. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ms. Frymark, please call the roll.
Heck. Here. Morrison.
Here.
Staley.
Here.
Rodriguez.
Here.
Thomason.
Here.
Tanner.
Here.
President Green.
Present.
Mr. President, I'd like to move to excuse the absent member.
Second.
A motion by Mr. Bailey and a second by Mr. Rodriguez to excuse the absent member. Ms. Frymark, please call the roll.
Heck.
Yes.
Morrison.
Yes.
Staley.
Yes.
Rodriguez.
Yes.
Thomason.
Yes.
Tanner.
Yes.
The absent member has been excused. Our next item of business is the approval of minutes for September 4, 2018, agenda and regular meeting minutes.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to approve the September 4th minutes.
Second.
I have a motion by Ms. Coniston, a second by Mr. Cantor for approval of the September 4, 2018 agenda and regular meeting minutes. Ms. Frymark, please call the roll.
Heck.
Yes.
Morrison.
Yes.
Staley.
Yes.
Rodriguez.
Yes.
Thomason.
Yes.
Tanner.
Yes.
Minutes have been approved. Our next up, we have our first opportunity for poll public. If anyone would like to come forward at this time, you'll have up to 3 minutes. Alrighty, we'll move on to our standing committee reports, and we'll begin with Administration and Financial Management. Chairperson Bailey.
Thank you, Mr. President. Administration and Financial Management did meet last Tuesday, and our minutes are on file. We have a number of items that will be introduced tonight, and I would like to wish Mr. Rodriguez a happy birthday. As I said, our minutes are on file, and we will meet again next Tuesday, sometime after 6:30.
All righty, thank you, sir. Next, we have Community and Elder Advocacy. That's Chairperson Elmore. She's unable to attend the meeting this evening. However, that committee also met last Tuesday, and their minutes are on file in the council office. Next up, we have Community Standards and Enforcement. Chairperson Rodriguez.
Thank you, Mr. President. Community Standards and Enforcement met last week. Our minutes are on file. We've got Ordinance 80, third reading this evening. We meet again next Tuesday, sometime after 6:30.
All right, thank you, sir. Economic Development. Chairperson Morrissey.
Thank you, Mr. President. Economic Development also met last Tuesday. Our minutes are on file, and we'll meet next Tuesday sometime after 6:30 in the back.
Thank you, sir. Infrastructure Maintenance and Services. Chairperson Heck.
Thank you, Mr. President. Infrastructure, Maintenance, and Services met last week. We have no pending drafts or legislation. We will meet next Tuesday sometime in the back after 6:30.
All right, thank you. Next, we have Public Safety. Chairperson Coniston.
Thank you, Mr. President. Public Safety met last week. Our minutes are on file, and we'll meet again in the back sometime after 6:30 next week.
All right, thank you. Parks and Recreation is now up.
Thank you, Mr. President. Parks and Recreation met last week. Our minutes are on file. We'll meet again next week in the back after 6:30.
All right. Well, those are all our standing committee reports. We'll move on to our officials' reports, and we'll begin with our mayor, Ms. Kim McAfee.
Good evening. I would like favorable consideration of ordinances 80, 87, and 92. And I would also like to say happy birthday to Councilman Rodriguez. You're not going to tell us how many candles?
85.
85, awesome. You look great, by the way.
I'm dyslexic too.
Okay, got it. And would just like to say that council next week is going to be discussing a piece of draft legislation that I'm going to be bringing forward regarding urging Governor Kasich and Ohio General Assembly that to give money back to municipalities that was taken from our local government fund, also taken when the revision of the income tax filing was reviewed and approved last year. Also knowing that the estate tax is now gone for municipalities, also the tangible personal property tax is now gone, and we've lost approximately $1.7 million a year over the course of about 10 years. So when we think about what we could use that money for, and we are going to be asking Governor Kasich and the Ohio Assembly to give the money back to municipalities. In fact, they have such a surplus now that I think if they get within another $2 to $3 million, it's going to be they can't go any farther than that. That's how much extra that they have in the budget. Governor Kasich wants to put it into a rainy day fund because there is nothing else that they have plans for. And municipalities all across the state are advocating for that to go back to which it came. Thank you.
Do you have any idea what kind of support we have from the legislators?
Not yet, but we're working on them through Central Ohio Mayors and Managers Association, also through the Mid-Ohio Regional Planning Commission, and also through the Ohio Municipal League. So we're working on it.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Yeah, I believe there was a week or two ago, there was an article in the paper about all the
Yes.
communities that were going to go and
Mhm.
ask for, to have some of that money returned.
And you will see a piece of draft legislation on that next week in the committee. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mayor. Next, we have our city attorney, Mr. Michael Bivens.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of council. Happy birthday, Councilmember. And thank you, everyone else, for coming out this evening. From the city attorney's office, we had mayor's court today as well as drug court. Went very well. We did not have any new participants in our drug court, but the ones that were there were going in a positive direction. That being said, secondarily, you will notice as you drive through the Roses parking lot, you're starting to see some construction that's being done to that parking lot. There's been a schedule that's been proposed to my office that I found to be acceptable, and so we're anticipating this work being done hopefully by the beginning of October. And that means everything in that lot will be considerably different. And I've got some other strategies if they don't do something as it relates to the traffic flow. But I wanted to let you know, Mr. President, as well as members of council and the public, that that is going in a positive direction. Next, and last but certainly not least, I don't know if you know, but our mayor conducts staff meetings, and I get invited to them, where she has encouraged not only her direct staff, but also other members of administration to dream big and to dream as it relates to our passion as it relates in our office. And so what my office is doing in conjunction with the mayor's urging is my office has always been passionate about assisting victims of domestic violence. We've assisted survivors, almost 200 of them just this year alone. And as a result of that, we are going to host the first ever community swap meet where, as you notice, if you're a resident of Whitehall, you know that the city of Whitehall, we love garage sales. You can go on any given Saturday or Sunday and see at least 5 throughout our city, but this won't be a garage sale. This will be a giveaway in support of survivors of domestic violence. And the plan is it will be October the 13th from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. I've circulated flyers. I also have flyers now that I can circulate to you as members of the public. We're going to host it right here on City Hall, right underneath the porch area, so we can do it rain or shine. So if you have any items that you would like to donate, just bring them to my office. You can contact my office directly. We'll take those items and we'll set them out for individuals that are wanting something free that will assist them as it relates to their life. We've already noticed some of the survivors. You won't even know that they are survivors, but they are welcome to come. You're welcome to come. You don't have to be a survivor of domestic violence to benefit from it, but it would be helpful if you were. And any items that go untaken will be donated to agencies and organizations that are dedicated for victims of domestic violence. And so, as you know, October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, so we're going to do something very special this year as it relates to that, as a precursor to what we will do next year in anticipation of this growing, which will be the first 2019, what we've titled the Purple Run, where we'll do a 5K in conjunction with a with a giveaway as well, but it will not only just be a giveaway, but it will also be a 5K run, and we'll try to make it bigger for 2019. So we're dreaming in the city attorney's office, and I'd just like to thank you, Mayor, for planting that seed.
All right, well, thank you, sir. Next up, we have our city auditor, Mr. Dan Miller.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have no official report other than what you have in front of you. Those reports can be seen online on our website. I would like to ask for favorable consideration on ordinances 89 and 88 and resolutions 36 and 37. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, sir.
And happy birthday, please.
Next, we have our Director of Development and Public Service, Mr. Zach Woodard.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have no official report this evening.
Okay, thank you, sir. Director of Public Safety, Van Gregg.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Just an overview of our police department to extend our progress in safety. And some of you have seen this before, but we have added 4 K-9 officers since 2017, and there's something to be seen with the officers that handle these people. It's unbelievable what kind of job they're doing with the K-9s. We've also added 2 new resource officers in 2 years, and now that puts us at 3. And all 3 of these gentlemen really take a lot of pride in our school and community. Created a drug task force to go after the drug dealers, which in my opinion, this is one of the best in Central Ohio as far as what they do and how they go about their job. We've probably seized lots of cash and have taken $2 million worth of drugs off the streets, and actually we actually gained $123 for every dollar spent in the law enforcement fund. So that's something to be said about our narcotic unit. Plus, to add to that, the last 2 years, violent crimes have decreased 48%. The last 2 years, robbery has decreased 47%. And last year, burglary has decreased 35%, which was an all-time low after 22 years. So there's a lot going on with our police, and proud of them.
Well, thank you. Next, we have our treasurer, Mr. Steve Quinzel.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have no official report tonight. I would like to extend my congratulations to Mr. Rodriguez on making it through to another year.
All right, well, we have received the following officials' report in the council office since our last meeting. We do have the Division of Fire overtime report for August 2018. Under communications, petitions, and claims, we have no items listed on the agenda this evening, and we have received no items since the agenda was published. At this point, I would call on our council secretary to call the roll on whether each member of council was given a copy of each item of legislation listed on the agenda prior to the meeting, and including any add-on legislation.
Heck,
Yes.
Morrison,
Yes.
Bailey,
Yes.
Rodriguez,
Yes.
Coniston,
Yes.
Tanner.
Yes.
Alrighty, well, we will begin our ordinances and resolutions for the evening. As usual, we start with our third readings, and first up we have Ordinance 80-2018. It's amending 745 vendors and solicitors of the codified ordinances of the city of Whitehall, Ohio, and declaring an emergency.
Mr. President, I'd like to introduce ordinance 80-2018, move for its adoption.
Second?
I have a motion by Mr. Rodriguez and a second by Ms. Coniston for introduction and adoption of Ordinance 80-2018. Questions or comments? Ms. Frymark, please call the roll.
Heck,
Yes.
Morrison,
Yes.
Bailey,
Yes.
Rodriguez.
Yes.
Coniston.
Yes.
Tanner.
Yes.
Ordinance 80-2018 has been adopted. It's our only item we have this evening under third reading. We'll move on to our second reading item. And we have Ordinance 84-2018. It's approving and making a supplemental appropriation of $50,573.50 from unappropriated monies in the Capital Improvement Project Fund to the Capital Improvement Account and declaring an emergency. That ordinance is being read by title only. It's also the only item we have in second readings this evening. We'll move on to our first readings, and we have first up Ordinance 87-2018. It's authorizing and approving an appropriation transfer in the amount of $17,750 from the Grants Administrator Salary Expense Account to the Senior Administrative Assistant Salary Account and declaring an emergency.
Mr. President, I'd like to introduce Ordinance 87, 2018, and move for suspension of all rules.
Second?
A motion by Mr. Bailey and a second by Ms. Coniston for introduction and suspension of all rules on Ordinance 87, 2018. Questions or comments? Ms. Frymark, please call the roll.
Heck,
Yes.
Morrison,
Yes.
Bailey,
Yes.
Rodriguez,
Yes.
Coniston.
Yes.
Tanner.
Yes.
The rules have been suspended on Ordinance 87, 2018.
Move to adopt.
Second?
Motion by Mr. Bailey, second by Ms. Coniston for adoption of Ordinance 87, 2018. Ms. Frymark, please call the roll.
Heck,
Yes.
Morrison,
Yes.
Bailey,
Yes.
Rodriguez.
Yes.
Coniston.
Yes.
Tanner.
Yes.
Ordinance 87, 2018 has been adopted. Our next ordinance is 88, 2018. It's making and approving a fund transfer in the amount of $156,500 from unappropriated monies in the general fund to the OPWC Projects Fund and declaring an emergency.
Mr. President, I'd like to introduce Ordinance 88, 2018, move for suspension of all rules.
Second.
A motion by Mr. Bailey and a second by Mr. Cantor for introduction and suspension of all rules on Ordinance 88, 2018. Questions or comments? Ms. Frymark, please call the roll.
Heck,
Yes.
Morrison,
Yes.
Bailey,
Yes.
Rodriguez.
Yes.
Coniston.
Yes.
Tanner.
Yes.
The rules have been suspended on Ordinance 88, 2018.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Bailey, second by Mr. Cantor for adoption of Ordinance 88, 2018. Ms. Frymark, please call the roll.
Heck,
Yes.
Morrison,
Yes.
Bailey,
Yes.
Rodriguez.
Yes.
Coniston.
Yes.
Tanner.
Yes.
Ordinance 88, 2018 has been adopted. Our next ordinance is 89, 2018. It's making a supplemental appropriation in the amount of $63,792 from unappropriated monies in the general fund to the Recreation Park Fund account and declaring an emergency.
Mr. President, I'd like to introduce Ordinance 89, 2018, move for suspension of rules.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Bailey and a second by Mr. Cantor for introduction and suspension of all rules on Ordinance 89, 2018. Questions or comments? Ms. Frymark, please call the roll.
Heck,
Yes.
Morrison,
Yes.
Bailey,
Yes.
Rodriguez.
Yes.
Coniston.
Yes.
Tanner.
Yes.
The rules have been suspended on Ordinance 89, 2018.
Move to adopt.
Second.
A motion by Mr. Bailey, second by Mr. Cantor for adoption of Ordinance 89, 2018. Ms. Frymark, please call the roll.
Heck,
Yes.
Morrison,
Yes.
Bailey,
Yes.
Rodriguez.
Yes.
Coniston.
Yes.
Tanner.
Yes.
Ordinance 89, 2018 has been adopted. Next, we have Ordinance 90, 2018. It's amending the zoning map attached to Chapter 1122 of the 1970 Codified Ordinances of the City of Whitehall, Ohio, and as subsequently amended, amending the Plan Department District Development Plan on property located at 540 South Hamilton Road, parcel number 090001623, property owned by Hamilton Crossing Homes, LLC. That ordinance is being read by title only. Our next one is Ordinance 91, 2018. That's an ordinance vacating a portion of the east-west alley north of Main Street and west of Lambie Lane in the Blower addition directly behind 3948 through 3972 East Main Street. That ordinance is being read by title only also. Next up, we have Ordinance 92, 2018. It's authorizing an exemption of 161.09A, vacation and sick leave credit carryover for the purpose of employing a highly qualified employee to the City of Whitehall, Ohio, or of Whitehall, and declaring an emergency.
Mr. President, I'd like to introduce ordinance number 92, 2018, and move for the suspension of all rules.
Second.
I have a motion by Ms. Coniston and a second by Mr. Morrison for introduction and suspension of all rules on Ordinance 92, 2018. Questions or comments? Ms. Frymark, please call the roll.
Heck,
Yes.
Morrison,
Yes.
Bailey,
Yes.
Rodriguez.
Yes.
Coniston.
Yes.
Tanner.
Yes.
The rules have been suspended on ordinance 92, 2018.
Move to adopt?
Second.
Motion by Ms. Coniston, second by Mr. Morrison for adoption of ordinance 92, 2018. Ms. Frymark, please call the roll.
Heck,
Yes.
Morrison,
Yes.
Bailey,
Yes.
Rodriguez.
Yes.
Coniston.
Yes.
Tanner.
Yes.
Ordinance 92, 2018 has been adopted. Next, we have Resolution 36, 2018. It's resolving to approve then and now certificates and declaring an emergency.
Mr. President, I'd like to introduce Resolution 36, 2018, move for suspension of rules.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Bailey and a second by Ms. Heck for introduction and suspension of all rules on Resolution 36, 2018. Questions or comments? Ms. Frymark, please call the roll.
Heck,
Yes.
Morrison,
Yes.
Bailey,
Yes.
Rodriguez.
Yes.
Coniston.
Yes.
Tanner.
Yes.
The rules have been suspended on Resolution 36, 2018.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Bailey, second by Ms. Heck for adoption of Resolution 36, 2018. Ms. Frymark, please call the roll.
Heck,
Yes.
Morrison,
Yes.
Bailey,
Yes.
Rodriguez.
Yes.
Coniston.
Yes.
Tanner.
Yes.
Resolution 36, 2018 has been adopted. Next up, we have Resolution 37, 2018. It's accepting the amounts and rates determined by the Budget Commission, authorizing necessary tax levies and certifying them to the county auditor and declaring an emergency.
Mr. President, I'd like to introduce Resolution 37, 2018, move for suspension of rules.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Bailey, and a second by our birthday boy, Mr. Rodriguez, for the introduction and suspension of all rules on Resolution 37, 2018. Questions or comments? Ms. Frymark, please call the roll.
Heck,
Yes.
Morrison,
Yes.
Bailey,
Yes.
Rodriguez.
Yes.
Coniston.
Yes.
Tanner.
Yes.
The rules have been suspended on Resolution 37, 2018.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll move to adopt.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Bailey and a second by Mr. Rodriguez for adoption of Resolution 37, 2018. Ms. Frymark, please call the roll.
Heck,
Yes.
Morrison,
Yes.
Bailey,
Yes.
Rodriguez.
Yes.
Coniston.
Yes.
Tanner.
Yes.
Resolution 37, 2018 has been adopted. We do have one piece of add-on legislation this evening. It is Resolution 38, 2018. It's urging the citizens of the city of Whitehall, Ohio, to support Issue 8, the Whitehall City School District's 3.41 mil combined bond and permanent improvement levy in the upcoming November election and declaring an emergency.
Mr. President, I'd like to introduce Resolution 38-2018 and move for the suspension of the rules, please.
Second?
A motion by Mr. Cantor and a second by Ms. Coniston for introduction and suspension of all rules on Resolution 38, 2018. Questions or comments? Ms. Frymark, please call the roll.
Heck,
Yes.
Morrison,
Yes.
Bailey,
Yes.
Rodriguez.
Yes.
Coniston.
Yes.
Tanner.
Yes.
The rules have been suspended on Resolution 38, 2018.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move to adopt.
Second?
A motion by Mr. Cantor and a second by Ms. Coniston for adoption of Resolution 38, 2018. Ms. Frymark, please call the roll.
Heck,
Yes.
Morrison,
Yes.
Bailey,
Yes.
Rodriguez.
Yes.
Coniston.
Yes.
Tanner.
Yes.
Resolution 38, 2018 has been adopted. It's the last item of legislation we have before us this evening. However, this is the second opportunity for poll public. If anyone would like to come forward, you will have up to 3 minutes. Please state your name and address for the record.
Before my time starts, happy birthday. Charles Dixon, 3877 Donny Street.
I'd have let you slip by on that anyway.
Miss Stickler as well. Free money. The first time I noticed this term, it was said by Council President Graham in reference to grant money we received, as I've also heard it since. Everyone here seems so excited by all this free money. Your term, not mine. And yet, simple economics show us the inherent wrong and trouble of this free money. That is why I spoke up at the poll public 2 weeks ago. I was tired of this misnomer being bandied about by government without a more thorough understanding of its impact. So then let me be clear on the ramifications of this free money you get to prop up our city's limited resources to support itself. As Auditor Miller pointed out, it is, to some extent, the money we paid out in state and federal taxes, and that is true. However, what is not said is this: Whitehall is a poorer than average town which seemingly can't afford to take care of its responsibilities on its own. Of course, we can afford to buy properties with citizens' money at the cost of around $20 million, but we can't afford to, in a timely fashion, repair our own infrastructure. On one hand, we give tax abatements to businesses like beggars, hoping someone will take advantage of our opportunities, losing money which could pay for many things, while we make up for that lost money by taking advantage of grant money. Businesses win, we all lose, per the national debt. In truth, we're pretending to be something we're not. And for whom? Because we're embarrassed to call ourselves Whitehallians of the Whitehall that actually exists, and not the one we pretend to be with the makeup and fashionable attire the grants afford us? We're living beyond our means. City Hall is not fiscally responsible. We can't afford that which we have or do. We can't even afford to maintain our own city, and in doing so, not only have we put a great deal on bonds, which take away from the money we have to spend for our city in the yearly budget in the future, we're also helping to balloon the national debt. But yet, our short-sightedness says that's not our problem. Not here, not now. However, that debt, which is over $21 trillion, is going to come due. And whether it's our community saying if we don't take that grant money, someone else will, then it's another community saying the same thing. And so, who is finally going to show sense and restraint for the common good? When will reason finally prevail in this country, in this community, saying enough is enough? The egos to sell an inorganic, expensive vision for Whitehall you want it to be are simply selling future generations down the river, where they will undoubtedly deal with tough austerity measures, all because no one in the present could face the reality of their situations. Instead, pretend to be something they're not. The shine then on the gleaming city of Team Maggard will be cold comfort to your grandchildren, living with the real impacts of that short-sighted, self-centered vision. Mark my words.
Who else would like to come forward? I have up to 3 minutes. All right, we'll move on to Community Date Board.
I have a few things.
Okay.
All right, on Wednesday, September 26th is the September Social. It will be at Heartland Bank from 5:30 to 7 o'clock. And it's sponsored by the City of Whitehall, the Chamber of Whitehall, and the Whitehall Community Investment Corporation. Please come and hear about all the things that are going on in Whitehall, and there will be food and there will be music. So please feel free to come. It's free. Also, we're going to be talking about big ideas there. We're going to have a big conversation about ideas and what we think needs to happen for the future of Whitehall. On Thursday, September 27th, is Volley for the Cure at the high school. This is their annual fundraiser for cancer. And just would like to have everyone come out for that. That's at 6 p.m. And then on Friday, September 28th, at the VFW in Whitehall, is the fish fry, and it's from 5 to 8, and all proceeds will go to support the Rams Sports Club. So I hope to see everybody there. Thank you.
Who else has something for Community Day?
I
Ms.
do.
Coniston?
Yes, absolutely. This Thursday is the is a home football game, and there's going to be a tailgate. So please come out about 5:30. The game will start at 7 o'clock. It's going to be televised, so it should be an exciting game. Hopefully, we'll have a lot of people come out for it and show the support for the Rams.
Hopefully so.
Hopefully so.
Who else has something for Community Day Board?
TEDx, October the 24th at the high school.
Can I get one more item for, at least one more
Sure.
item for community? All right.
Also, at the high school on the 27th, Thursday night, we do need to contact Tide Up Boys at the administration office, just so they can plan on head count. But it's going to be an open house for the remodeled auditorium.
All right, so at the beginning of this, I failed to say that we could not move on with Community Day Board until we had at least 5 people respond with something for Community Day Board. So somebody better come up with something else, or we're gonna be.
October 26th, the 26th, the casino night.
One at a time.
Attorney Bivens did talk about.
He did, but that wasn't under.
Well,
Right,
it
yeah,
still was
you gotta
a
get
day.
that to us.
All right, I'll give you
Mr.
that.
The
President,
Easter egg
Yes.
hunt is March.
today is
There's that
Mr.
little
Rodriguez's
recall.
birthday.
Yeah.
All right, all right,
On the
so,
14th, I'll be in Myrtle Beach.
okay,
There we go. Okay, we're good now.
that's TMI.
That's up there.
All right, so we will move on to poll council at this point, and we will begin with Ms. Head.
Thank you, Mr. President. Happy birthday, Chris. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Thank you for everybody that's watching at home. That's all I got for tonight.
Okay, Mr. Morrison.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to thank everyone for coming and for their comments. And in case you're not aware, it is Mr. Rodriguez's birthday.
It
So
is.
I hope it's been a good one, sir. That's it.
All right, Mr. Bailey.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's nice to see you all tonight, and that's all I have.
We're up to the birthday boy.
I'd be remiss if I didn't wish myself happy birthday.
That's right, you would be.
Yes.
Good to see a lot of new faces out here this evening. Thank you. And thank you all for the kind wishes.
All right, Ms. Coniston.
Happy birthday, Chris. I'm the first, right? I would also like to thank everybody for coming out tonight. Thank you, Jerry, for always your point of view. We hear you. Tonight is in the Jewish religion, Yom Kippur. It's a Day of Atonement. I always tease that it's the day that I go ahead and repent all my sins, so I can start them again the following day.
Don't you need 2 days?
According to some, I do need 2 days, but it's the day that we're able to go ahead and to have a clean slate and apologize if we've done anybody wrong. So I apologize if I've done anybody wrong or have said something to offend anybody. One more thing, and it's just a story that I want to share about the climate of the world. My kids went to Greece to celebrate their honeymoon a year after they got married. Had no problems leaving the country, and then coming back in, they were detained by airline security, questioned, detained again, missed their flight, and got back just in time for them to both head to work. So kind of just the climate that we live in. Unfortunately, they said that, you know what, they go ahead and they scan the ID cards, and his name is Aoife Abdul Jalil. Hi Aoife, hi Michelle. And it's just, it's a sad time that we live in, that things like that do happen, because we have wonderful people in the world, and a few bad, and unfortunately, sometimes good people pay for that.
I figured it was Michelle.
It should have been
Yeah.
Michelle. Yes. Thank you all for coming.
All right. All right, so it's down to me. Well, I'll go. I'm sorry.
I don't have a lot to
I
say.
inadvertently scratched.
No, you're fine. If you're gonna be short, that's fine. Thank everybody for coming tonight. It's nice to see people out here. Mr. Rodriguez, you're a really good man.
Appreciate it.
Congratulations. Happy birthday. I won't sing to you like you did to me 2 years ago, because you don't want to hear that. Karen, good luck for the next 26 hours.
Yes,
Very much so.
yes.
I'm a new grandfather. My daughter had a grandson a week ago Thursday. My grandson came home yesterday. Mother and grandson are doing well. I love you, I know you're watching. That's all I have, thank you, everybody.
All right, thank you. All right, so, I guess maybe I need to clarify a little bit about my statement about free money. The money that I'm calling free money is money that did not come out of the city's budget. And so it allows us to do projects in the city that were going to be done anyway, which would have cost the city a full price. However, if we can find a grant that applies to that particular project, we can apply for that grant, and then we can get a 75% reimbursement. Well, I guess maybe free money wouldn't be the right term, but as far as I see it, it's free money to the city of Whitehall and its citizens because it didn't come out of the budget, which we come up with a new budget every year. Also, the comments this evening were right about as long as this continues by every city, it's going to keep on continuing. That's absolutely right. And the same thing goes for when cities offer incentives to companies, multi-million-dollar companies, billion-dollar companies, to come and build in their city. When in fact, usually those companies wouldn't come there unless the city had something to offer in the first place. But that's not going to stop either, as long as other communities are doing it. So it's a vicious circle. You're stuck in that circle. And if you don't go around the roundabout, or whatever you want to call it, if you don't continue traveling around that circle, you're going to get left out. And so my thought is that if the money's available to all communities, then we would be irresponsible if we didn't apply for those grants. It allows the city to perform functions and or have projects that would be more costly to the city, and therefore, I'll give an example. Let's say we do 4 roads, each road costs $1 million, and we get a 75% grant. So we get to pave 3 roads for the price of 1, doing 4 roads. I call that a really good deal, and I find it hard to believe that people would be upset. I would think people would be more upset if we didn't apply for the grants, and the grants were available, and we didn't get it because we didn't apply. So I understand about see, I have to do this off the cuff, so I didn't have an opportunity to have something planned out. About the national debt. And where that money comes from for this, for the grants, the auditor might be able to tell me, but I'm going to take a wild guess and say that a little tiny bit of everybody's tax money goes into some pot somewhere, and that's what makes it up. Now, I could be totally wrong, but that sounds kind of logical to me, and I'm kind of a logical person, so that makes sense. I just believe that since the state has deemed it necessary, or not necessary, but at their whim, to take away the funds that were always provided to this city and every other city in the state, to take away a couple $1 million from us, this is a way for us to try and make up for that loss of income. And I think that, as I said, we would be totally irresponsible if we didn't apply for a grant when those grants are available. So, I'm not disagreeing with all the points that were brought up, but I do believe that we would be irresponsible if we did not do that. So, and it's been a great boon to the city of Whitehall. And those grants had nothing to do with projects that the city takes on as far as revitalization of the city. Those grants would be there. We would still apply for them, whether we were doing revitalization or not. So that's all I'm going to say about that. I hope everyone has had a informative evening. I encourage everyone to come back. I encourage everyone to come and speak during poll public. I don't think we have any other business. I've wished him happy birthday 2 or 3 times, twice in Spanish. I didn't quite get it right, but he knew what I meant. So I'm going to let that go. We have no further business officially.
Mr. President?
Yes.
Thank you for your comments, and I move to adjourn.
Mr. President? Oh,
Yeah. Too slow, birthday guy.
well, you know, I was gonna say.
When you get older, that's what happens.
I forgot. Before we adjourn, I mean, the one thing is, in response to what you were talking about, a perfect example is the schools. The way that we were able to take advantage of the, what was it?
Well,
Buy
that's
one,
right.
get 3 free or something like that?
No, well, it was, 3, I mean,
Buy two,
vote-
get
Not to,
Buy 2, get 3.
Yeah.
That was it. But there's a perfect example of it. You know,
You're
we've got, you would not be a good steward of the people's money if we did not take advantage of that, whether it was a school board member or sitting up here.
And that pays back not only to
Good
the
point.
community, but our children in particular.
All right, so I do have a motion on the floor for adjournment from
2
Mr.
seconds.
A motion by Mr. Bailey and a second by Mr. Cantor. Questions or comments? Ms. Frymark, please call the roll before somebody else says something.
Heck,
Yes.
Morrison,
Yes.
Bailey,
Yes.
Rodriguez.
Yes.
Coniston.
Yes.
Tanner.
Yes.
All right, we are adjourned, and I hope to see you all at our next meeting.